All right, I have 7 o'clock. I'll call this recess meeting of the Board of Aldermen to order. Roll call, please, Liz.
Alderman Borman. Alderman Lee.
Here.
Alderman Magley.
Yes.
Alderman Morak.
Yes.
Alderman Ward.
Yes.
Alderman Wilkins.
All right, we have a quorum. Official business can take place tonight. Please join me in pledge allegiance. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Comments from citizens? Hearing none, we'll close. Action agenda. Finance, nothing. Permits, license, nothing. Legal. Calling a municipal election on April 5th, 2016 for determining if a sales tax shall be charged on the sale of all vehicles. So, is the ordinance requires 2 readings? I think we've had a lot of discussion about this. Any questions?
Well, maybe we should explain
Okay.
The ordinance is written backwards in a way, you might say, that, and it's required by the state law requirements, that it says it this way. I mean, the title that you just read says it in a positive way. I think the city would prefer that we vote no on this, which generally if you put something on the ballot, you're asking for a yes. But the city in this case would be saying they do not want to. It's dealing with sales tax, and it's dealing with the titling of motor vehicles, trailers, boats, and outboard motors. Purchased from a source other than a licensed Missouri dealer. And the state law on this says that under 32087, section 32087 revised statutes in Missouri, that if the city of Centralia did not adopt a use tax, which they have not, then it's required sometime before November of this year, which would mean extra expense if we didn't do it in April, somewhat more expense. We didn't put it on the ballot then, and that's why it's suggesting that it should be done now to put it on the April ballot. And the section 2 has the wording, shall the city of Centralia, Missouri discontinue applying and collecting a local sales tax on the title of motor vehicles, trailers, boats, and outboard motors that were purchased from a source other than a licensed Missouri dealer. In other words, someone out of state, which that probably applies more to St. Louis and Kansas City. They get affected by it more than we do, but some people go to out of state to purchase the bigger ticket items. And it's just saying that the wording in this the section 2 is the wording right out of the state law that says this is how it's to be done, and it's somewhat unusual to have the wording in there after the state law, after the question. It says approval of this measure will result in a reduction of revenue to provide for vital services for the city of Centralia, Missouri, and Missouri dealers and motor vehicles, outboard motors, boats, and trailers at a competitive disadvantage to non-Missouri dealers, motor vehicles, outboard motors, boats, and trailers. So I believe it would be the city's position to say no to this, but it would be important to put it on the ballot, because if you don't, it doesn't say this in the ordinance, but it says in the state law 32087 that the starting in March of 2017, the spring of next year, that it would, if you don't put it on the ballot and the people don't vote it down, then it's going to go into effect anyway. That there will be a discontinuation of the sales tax for titling of motor vehicles, trailers, boats, and outboard motors from non-Missouri dealer, well, for all persons. Anyway,
So they require it to be written in a negative?
it's required to be done the way it's written here.
They're really pushing to get rid of it, aren't they?
Well, I'm not sure, if that would be a statement, but I don't know, if I could say the understanding of the legislature, but that's what they decided to do, that's the wording they decided to adopt.
The downside, so really quickly, quick history. In 2012, in the case of Street versus Director of Revenue, the state court decided that they overturned an administrative law judge's decision that the net result of it was that municipalities did not have the right to charge sales tax out of state because it was essentially a use tax. So if you did not have a use tax, you could not collect that. Also, I believe on sales between individuals. So because we're a statutory city, I think some charter cities have phrased this in the positive, so that yes means that you will begin or start collecting the sales tax again if you did not have a use tax. But because we're a charter city, or not a charter city, but a fourth-class city, and correct me if I'm wrong, Mayor, but my understanding is that the best way to do this is to put to the voters the question of, did you intend to repeal this, basically? And if they did not intend to repeal it and keep collecting the tax, you vote no. So you vote no to not repeal the tax, which is what the court case did. So you vote yes to repeal the tax. Unfortunately, that is a little backwards, and so if for Brad Forrest and for Forrest Chevrolet, the small loss of sales to somebody who might want to buy a car in Iowa or Kansas or Illinois to avoid that sales tax, those people in the city who would like to get the maybe $18,000 a year estimated by the State Department of Revenue, those people who would like to see that happen should vote no. And that more tax will be collected by the city, although a very nominal amount. If you vote yes, you will vote to essentially approve the state court's decision that that tax is not, that cities cannot pass it. State are still collecting it, I believe. That's the state's still collecting it because they have a use tax.
Wow.
So tonight, the action that we're looking from the Board of Aldermen in this recess meeting is to approve this ordinance to give the voters of the city of Centralia that choice. That choice will be taken away from them unless the legislature acts this winter or spring. That choice will be taken away from them in November.
Bad chance.
Yeah.
So this is simply putting this ordinance, if you approve an adoption of this ordinance, you're putting it on the ballot, but
In April.
in April. But we're explaining the consequences of it, so you may need to have a committee formed or whatever to talk it out.
Okay.
Educated.
All right.
Just to educate the voters, yes.
Yeah, just be prepared to answer questions if someone was to call you. So, Alderman Volrath, would you introduce this one, please?
Bill number 2789.
I move that bill number 2789 be given its first reading by title only.
I have a motion and a second that bill number 2789 be given its first reading by title only. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Continue, please.
A bill to create an ordinance entitled an ordinance providing for submission of a proposal to discontinue the application and collection of the local sales tax on the titling of motor vehicles, trailers, boats, and outboard motors that were purchased from a source other than a licensed Missouri dealer to the qualified voters of the city of Centralia, Missouri for their approval at the general municipal election called and to be held in the city of Centralia, Missouri on April 5th, 2016. I move that bill number 2789 be given its second reading by title only.
Second.
I have a motion and a second that bill number 2789 be given a second reading by title only. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Continue, please.
A bill to create an ordinance entitled, an ordinance providing for submission of a proposal to discontinue the application and collection of the local sales tax on the titling of motor vehicles, trailers, boats, and outboard motors that were purchased from a source other than a licensed Missouri dealer to the qualified voters of the city of Centralia, Missouri, for their approval at the general municipal election called and to be held in the city of Centralia, Missouri on April 5th, 2016. I move that bill number 2789 be adopted by roll call vote.
Second.
I have a motion and a second that bill number 2789 be adopted by a roll call vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Roll call vote, please, Heather.
Alderman Lee.
Yes.
Alderman Magley.
Yes.
Alderman Volrath.
Yes.
Alderman Ward.
Yes.
Alderman Borman.
Yes.
All right, by your vote, bill number 2789 passes and now becomes ordinance number
2842.
purchasing, nothing, old business, any old business? No. New business, we do have, one appointment to make tonight. The, person that I was originally talking to down at US Bank is, elected not to be appointed to the library board. However, I found a new, person who lives within the library district, and it's, happens to be Matt's wife. So. Yes, that's it. Sorry. That's all right. So I would like to, make the appointment of Raven Harline to the library board for a period of 1.5 years to finish out the term of Joyce, who resigned.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion, a second, to approve the mayor's appointment of Raven Harline to the library board for a period of 1.5 years. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. All right. Matt, do you have anything?
I do not. Well, I will want a motion in the next meeting, but on the,
Okay.
on the grant, but that's it.
Okay. Merritt?
No, I don't wish.
Okay. Heather?
Just to remind everyone that candidate filing is open. It closes January 19th for the 3 alderman positions.
Thank you. And Alderman Borman, would you take us into closed session, please?
Sure. All right, I make a motion that we go into closed session and hold a closed vote, and the purpose of such closed session and closed vote shall be as provided for under section 610.021, paragraph 1 of the revised statutes of the Missouri for legal actions, causes of action, or litigation involving a governmental body and any confidential or privileged communications between a public government body or its representatives and its attorneys.
Second.
All right, I have a motion, a second, to go into closed session. All those in favor, or roll call vote, please, Heather?
Alderman Magley.
Yes.
Alderman Volrath.
Yes.
Alderman Ward.
Yes.
Alderman Borman.
Yes.
Alderman Lee.
Yes. All right, we're hereby in closed session. Office, please. We'll be back. Any guys may rise? Hearing none. All right, who's next?
I guess you need a motion to adjourn the.
Yes.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to adjourn our recess meeting. Don't go anywhere yet. Oh. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, thank you.
I thought there was.
Oh, no.
Do you want to keep the camera on for your, you keep the camera on?
Yeah, that's fine.
Policy. That's why I
Oh.
was connected here and I was walking.
Yay.
Going to breeze through this stuff.
Thank you.
All right, let's go ahead and call the Works and Public Utilities Committee meeting to order. We'll go ahead and start with comments from citizens. Moving on, to electric department, there's an activity report in our packet. Any questions or comments? Alright, moving on, generation, power purchase agreement update.
Really, I thought we might have more, so basically, Margaret McDonald of Spiegel and McDermott is reviewing the original offer document contract from Exelon Constellation. They provided the best proposal so far for and it's basically done. I guess Dynergy was looking at some options, but their capacity costs were too high. So we're moving forward. For the first time, we would be buying our purchase power. We'd have our purchase power agreement with somebody other than Dynergy / Ameren, assuming nothing goes wrong with the contracting process. And that's all I have on that one.
Okay. Discussion on utility payment policy. There is a memo in our packet.
I'll really quickly go through this, but in 2008, the board adopted their first policy, and in 2010, they modified that policy to add some sections. Basically, it covers it fills in the mortar in the brick wall of our policy. In terms of making the thing stick together, it's mortar. Our policy is not a brick wall against our citizens. Maybe that wasn't the best analogy. But the point is, anytime you pass a law, there's rules that are adopted by the administration to try and put that law into an action. This policy covers those parts of the ordinance that aren't still directly spelled out. One of the things we've noticed since we've gone to the ability to online pay, our bank accepts partial payments, even though our policy says that we do not. And actually, it's partial payments are illegal technically by section 26. -11 of the city code. So we'll probably need to bring both back an ordinance and a policy to address this. And Heather's here because she deals with this much more on a day-to-day basis than I do. But the reasons to not accept partial payments, as far as we know, are not what they used to be when this was adopted into the city code. I think back then, most of the transactions were done by paper and kept on pen and paper, kept in files, physical files, and it was more difficult to reference how much a partial payment was. With modern software, that is not an issue. Did you want to add, subtract, correct anything?
No, it really isn't hard. Someone makes a partial payment, it's automatically applied to our billing system, and we have a kind of hierarchy of payments and how we tell the system how to apply those payments, and it does it. It prints off a report. It's very easy to track these days, and sometimes it just seems odd to me as someone comes in with a partial payment and says, I have $100 to pay. We're sending them away saying we're not going to take your money because we're not allowed to take that payment. Whereas if we could take that $100 payment and then they still know that they have a balance due, then they could pay the rest the next payday or however they need to do that.
If someone were to make a partial payment and miss the deadline for completing the full payment, would they still be assessed the late fee?
Yes, for whatever remaining balance, yes, there would still be a late fee on that. And then, if we do look at adopting a new policy, of course, we need to address things which is, if they make a partial payment and their bill is $150 and they pay $125, are we gonna disconnect them on disconnect day for not paying that $25 payment? Those are kind of things that we need to look at.
In the memo, I suggest, and it's somewhat arbitrary, but it seems like if 75% of the outstanding balance is paid, or 75% of the bill is paid, and we'd have to further clarify if we allowed a carryover from the previous month. Is it 75% of carryover plus the new, or is it all of the old plus 75% of the new? I was thinking basically all of the payments up to 75% of the most recent bill. So if you don't have all your previous payments and penalties paid plus at least 75% of the current payment, current bill due, then you would, if you don't make that threshold, we would cut you off. Whereas right now it's 100%. So all of this would be more lenient than we are right now. So that's kind of the, I appreciate, discussion guidance from the board. And then the other piece in here is, our policy says one extension for a lifetime. In practice, that has not been followed 100%. Is that fair to say? We've granted some people more than one extension.
Yes, that's very fair to say. And as the policy is right now, front office staff, if someone comes in and they are not able to pay their bill, we are allowed to go ahead and grant them that first extension. No questions asked. We don't usually go past the end of the month. We try to keep all of that, in the same month. However, any subsequent extensions that they're requesting have to be approved by Matt. If we could go to some sort of policy where maybe they could have one extension per calendar year or one extension every 12 months or something like that, it would eliminate us having to run back, especially towards the end of the month when it's getting close to disconnect day. If people are calling and saying, I can't pay my bill, so can we have an extension? And then we have to, ask Matt. And, it sometimes gets overloaded. I'm not to say that's constantly, but it would give us a little more leniency to be able to grant those extensions, if more flexibility.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but you have them sign at least something, or
Sure, yeah.
there's always
there's
something.
a form that they're supposed to come in and sign, saying that they requested that extension and they understand that they have to pay it by the dates that we set.
This would not change in any way the existing policy that we would accept partial payments and extend until actual received payments from Ministerial Alliance or other charitable organizations that agree that send us a notice that said they will pay the balance on a bill. Yeah. So that we're not looking to change that at all. So we're looking for comments and questions and guidance towards drafting a policy, resolution, and an ordinance.
I think it's a move in the right direction. A lot of our ordinances that we have in the books right now are kind of antique and outdated. And I think it's time to start, reviewing those and more modernizing them, I guess you can say.
I think that's true of every city.
Yeah, it is. But, we gotta start somewhere. So, if it's gonna help our citizens, I think it's a good move.
How big of an issue, Heather, I guess this is directed to you. I mean, how often would you say somebody requests to make a partial payment? And when they do make that request, do they sometimes say, well, I used to live so-and-so, and they always took my partial payments?
We have had that. I would say we have, I don't know, just a handful every month. Most people know that the policy is that we don't accept partial payments, but we do have some people that come in every month. We accept partial payments on things like court fines. We split up a payment for a trash can over a couple of months. I mean, that's technically a partial payment. So it just makes sense to me if we could be a little more flexible with this policy. I mean, not to the point where they're carrying over several months worth of bills. I mean, we would definitely have to address that part of it. But
At what point do we offer the budget bill to residents? Do they, after a year,
After a year.
they have a year's worth of history and then they can?
Right. Mhm.
Do those people that, is it something that the budget bill that they're, choose not to participate in that? Or is it, most of these people are in their first year of putting history here?
Some people are in their first year, but to be on the budget billing program, our policy says that you cannot have more than 3 late payments in a year. So a lot of times with the partial payments, we do see people that are late on their bills anyway. So they wouldn't qualify.
Yeah, it doesn't do anybody, it doesn't, somebody who's having trouble making ends meet, the budget billing is great in the hot and cold months, but they still they gotta keep up, those payments, because once basically, and the other thing you have to remember is allowing people who, in almost always, it's people who don't have very much money, to spare, obviously, who are behind their bills. We don't have a lot of people who just forget about it and have tons of money and just don't pay their bills. We don't have a lot of that. But you don't do them any favor by letting them build up a huge balance. And, I mean, the city's gonna eat that cost, and it's gonna drive everybody's costs up a little bit. But if you allow somebody to get 2 or 3 months behind, they're buried. There's no way they're gonna get that paid off. I mean, credit card companies do that all over the place. They're not doing anybody any favors. We don't want to be like that.
Right. On average, you have an average of how many people are disconnected every month?
It varies, sometimes
I'd
10
say
to
somewhere 10 to 20, yeah.
10 to 20. I think this last
Yeah.
time we had 22,
Yeah.
23, something like that one.
And they weren't actually, they were put on, they were charged the disconnect fee, but because of the temperature, we had them disconnected.
Okay. All right, thank you.
$75% sound like a good threshold? Go ahead and move forward with the policy? Is that what I'm hearing?
Certainly makes sense. You get a lot of people to pay forward on their bills, so I don't know why a partial payment would not
Right.
be a problem. Would be a problem.
There
Some people are paid bi-weekly or whatever, and then it's easier for them.
And I want to, Heather's probably doesn't want to stick around too much longer. I want to get it, you guys have, if we ever get to the point where we have smart meters, you can actually set it up where you pay like one of those kind of phones that you only have for a certain number. You can buy a certain amount of electricity, and when you
Time of use or,
yeah.
that's right.
Yeah.
Give us a phrase is.
But you pay ahead, when you run out of money, the electric goes off. Now, there's a warning. Usually there's like, you send you an email or text or something like that. But you can just, and that way you're never behind on your bill.
Meter shuts off?
It's an automatic disconnecting meter, it will shut itself off.
Dang, that's like.
Yeah, and there are co-ops out there that have,
Dial it to
you know, kind of like a daily or weekly billing cycle, and, you know, pay for your power as you use it.
Yeah.
Pay as you go.
Pay as you go.
That's what I'm trying to think of. There are co-ops that literally, I mean, there are people that come every single day
Yeah,
and pay in cash what they're gonna use.
yeah.
Just hope you make it enough to get to the whole football game before it's.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Anyway, you got your direction that you need? Okay.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you
all.
for sticking around. I'm glad you got to see me today.
All right, moving on to distribution.
I can't look again. We got the,
I couldn't remember if last time where the boring project was, I mean, it is completely done now, but I can't remember where the last meeting fell and where that timeline finished.
I think last time you were here, it was still open. I think I mentioned it to the board since then.
Yeah.
that it got done.
Right.
So,
So,
but it is done.
We got the holes
And it went well.
everywhere.
so,
What did the flagman end up costing us? Do you know?
I have not seen that bill yet. I have not seen the final bill yet.
Just curious, thanks.
Anything other in your electric department?
I did want to, I probably should have made this an agenda item, but on the Kincaid's Pharmacy is moving forward with a solar energy project. Our city code, section 2639.2, subsection 2, says we will net out power at in other words, if they're generating power and we're selling them power, if it all nets, if they produce everything they need for the month, but the bill is zero. We don't give them less.
Right.
We don't pay them less than we charge them, so that nets out to a zero price. In a month that if they don't generate that much, they pay the regular rate. If Kincaid, and this is unlikely to happen, but if Kincaid in a very sunny, cool month in March when they don't need much air conditioning or heating, actually generated more power than they used. Our ordinance, as most city ordinances that have a net metering ordinance, say that they would be credited for the net value of the electric energy delivered to the city during the billing period, calculated using the city's avoided cost, time of use or non-time of use. So we already anticipated that possibility. With this credit appearing on the customer generator's bill no later than the following billing period. So avoided cost is kind of a general term. What I would like to do is bring forward a policy that defines that the avoided cost as simply being equal to our energy cost under our purchase power agreement. It would be from our full requirements contract only. It would be about 4 cents per kilowatt hour, which is actually kind of a generous amount compared to other cities. It's easily defensible and it's easily calculated. It's not ridiculously low. It's not terribly high, and it'd be easy.
So that number is what we would pay if we bought electricity, or we normally buy electricity.
Yep.
That seems fair to me.
I think so.
Okay. So I'll bring back a policy that says that. And they've submitted for a building permit. We don't have their net metering agreement yet. So, and I have to double check with Mark that everything double checks out. They have worked with us. They have talked about the.
Yeah. We'll actually put in bi-directional meters for this situation. And there's, in the ordinance that he's referring to, they pay for the upgrades to the meters. And so it'll be less than $1,000, I think, had it estimated there a while back, to do the upgrades to the meters. So that is part of their cost.
And that's one of the reasons why we have an agreement, so they agreed to paying those costs and that sort of thing. But that has not, I hope they have that January 18th meeting. I talked to their representative, I think it's Mo Solar Apps.
Mid-Mo Solar Apps.
Mid-Mo Solar Apps. And there was a change in personnel, and they have the app, it's just not been finished and submitted. That's separate from the building permit. So they're itching to go, and I believe there's some tax credits for Kincaid, so that's one of the advantages for them.
Alright, moving on to Water and Sewer Department, there is an activity report in our packet. Any questions or comments?
How are we doing on the infiltration in the rains?
Actually, we're doing pretty good. I mean, that last big rain, we definitely came up, but not at the pace we have been in the past. The lining's definitely helping.
Okay.
We're definitely seeing an issue. Hope to have heard from Chance Company on theirs. They've got it cambered and they're reviewing the tapes to see if possible they might have to put a clean out inside their building, which may hold that up a little bit. And then there was a problem outside to see what extent that was gonna be, but that should be done pretty quick, I hope. I hope.
What were the repairs that were needed on the berms out there?
Muskrat damage and stuff, just fighting that. We had a little time, had some clay put in there, so we're trying to pack those down.
All right, one other question, well, maybe two other questions. Broke meter lid at Extreme Mart, what was that caused by?
Just a truck running over, it may have not been sitting right or something.
So that's something that we absorb.
Occasionally, yeah, just occasionally.
And, what about the hammer noise out of Well 3?
I was gonna bring that up as another, waiting on a quote. I had Flynn Drilling come up, I had two of their representatives come up. This hammering's getting worse, and it's a hydraulic issue. The water's coming back after we shut the well down. It's coming back and slamming into the check valve. And it's 30 seconds after the well shuts down. The well's operating perfect, smooth, check valve's doing what it's supposed to. But then we get that hammer, that water coming back. And we cannot figure out a reason why, what's changed hydraulically that could have done it. The only thing we've done is put the new valve in over Chance Company in their parking lot, that 12-inch insert, but it's open. We know that because as soon as we shut it down and try it, we set all the alarms off the Chance Company, so I know it's open. So, I'm not sure what's going on there, but they're getting us a price on what maybe a surge protector, it's the best way to say it. It'll be something to relieve the water, kind of like a relief valve. When it comes and hits that, it automatically will spit that out into the sump pump pit and do it. It sounds pretty minute, but it could be about $2,000 time we get it put in, but it's better than breaking that line, because it sounds like it's gonna break the floor.
Yep.
So I'm waiting on the price. I was hoping to have that today, but didn't hear from them.
This has been going on for a
Well,
month at least.
It's
Stop
been
shutting
about
the pump down.
3-4 months.
Yeah.
Pardon?
Stop shutting the pump down.
Well, we're just not gonna run it anymore.
No.
Yeah, never turned on.
Yeah.
There you go.
Well, that's a lot longer.
Never too well.
Yeah.
That's our best well. I don't want anything to go with it. I mean, since we
Yeah.
redid it, it really works good, so.
Yeah,
As soon as I get a price, I'll forward it to him, maybe next week he can present that.
okay.
Alright, moving on to water and the air scour under drain system.
Mike has been looking at some different, and Mike with along with John Craver, looked at some different ways to improve efficiency and that sort of thing at the plant. So we asked for they had a demo, which we discussed before, of the system that cleans the sand filters in a quicker way than the staff can do right now. And correct me, it was useful and impressive, but the cost from the estimate, and there was a lot of disclaimers in the bid, was $104,000 approximately. So right now we're thinking maybe that's a fiscal year 2018 expense, especially since we've got a $50,000 aerator on order, and we got some other things to look at. Another discussion, correct me if I'm wrong, Mike, but what we're looking at is aerator is priority number 1, reduce the line getting through the system is number 2, and then number 3 is, and then we look at that improving that filtering system. Because if we don't solve problem number 1, which is annoying, but if we don't get it fixed, it could be beyond annoying. So, am I close?
Yeah, I did a little looking, let me explain, since we did the air scour demonstration, we've really worked those filters over. We actually got in there with 2-foot-long drill bits we got from Mark. I basically just drilled into the sand, and some of it was trying to cake, and that's the reason we're getting short-circuited through the filters. We broke that up, we took the pressure hose down, right on top of the sand, and broke it up. What we have now, compared to when they did the demonstration, we're probably 85 to 90% better than we were. So I think we can even maybe look further down the road. Plus I found the pricing about $8,000, $9,000. I can replace all the media in there and start over. And we can do that a lot of times before we spend $100,000. But it just depends on what that under drain at the very bottom is like. If we've got a problem there, then something's gonna have to be done.
So if we mix the line in, can we sell that as kitty litter?
probably, somebody. But I think we're making headway, and, you know, I don't think it's a dire emergency. That scouring is fantastic. I mean, compared to what we do with the hose, there's no comparison. But what we're doing with the hose has worked for 30-some years. We just need to find out why we're getting so much carryover with the rock. And once we find out where the carryover is coming from, and we got a couple ideas that we're gonna check. Had a load of chlorine come in the bottles. You roll them off the truck, and when they hit the dock on top of the recarb room, we had a lot of carryover just from that shaking. So I'm wondering if the recarb room, we're gonna look at that, maybe clean that out. We can suck that down, pump it out, suck it down, use a bacteria to clean some of that out, and that will help with a lot of that, I think. But we got a couple of avenues to check before we need to get serious about that, I think.
Right, that's a lot of money.
But you're saying that, one possibility is just to replace all the sand in there?
See, we did that in 2006, all the rock and all the sand. 23 ton per filter, we got 3 filters. You know, and we could replace the sand and leave the rock, and maybe just do an acidite. I mean, we actually found an old document from when they started the water plant up. Randy had found that, and Leon Braden was the operator at the time. And they've had this problem since the plant was started. And just trying to figure out that happy medium in there. But it seems like it's getting a little bit worse, so we gotta figure out what in the process is carrying that line through.
And I asked him if it was the lack of a fully functional aerator, and he says that's not it.
No, that's just,
Not,
it may be actually aerating a little bit better now
So
that we got a
it's the
flow.
line itself that's clogging up the, sand?
Yeah. So we just need to make sure, Randy's been doing double backwash on it almost per day, which is a little bit more water, but we're getting better action through the filters every day.
it looks like milk when they run, when they.
Well, I know what it looks like.
Yeah. So it's getting better. So we learned a lot by the demonstration, and maybe helped prompt us what we need to do. So I think we're getting some progress done, and we can keep you informed on what's happening down the road.
But if it was caking where you had to drill through it, that's,
Well, when I say it wasn't that hard, but it actually helped break the layers up in the sand. We don't know what the rock's like, but when we did it last time, the rock wasn't as bad as the sand. It caps on top, then it tries to come out like this rather than coming up evenly. So we'll get her. It's a good time of year to be working on it, winter time like this. I mean, can't do a lot outside a lot of times.
There's not nearly as much call for water either, so.
Yeah.
All right, moving on to sewer, anything in your sewer?
Yeah. Getting budget stuff together on what we'd like to maybe do as far as lining, and I got a couple of manholes I'm gonna have repaired. Probably looking at about $3,000 to $4,000 worth of manhole repair. But overall, the manholes seem to be doing pretty good.
I assume these are the old brick ones.
No?
No?
No, yeah, we have more trouble with the cast in place sections where the joints just don't get, they didn't get tarred good, or the tape didn't work. We have more problems with those.
Yeah.
Occasionally, we got a couple block ones, but most usually it's the cast.
Anything under other? All right, moving on to public works, there's an activity report in our packet. Any questions or comments? No questions or comments, moving on, streets?
Nothing.
No,
No. Sanitation?
lots of trash.
Yeah, we're up 5% over last year still. And at the current rate, our costs for tipping fees are gonna be $107,000, which last year we budgeted, I think, we budgeted 95 and came in over that. We budgeted it for 102. We did have an increase in the cost, half at our 6-month point. between $41 to $44 a ton. Yeah, so we're getting a lot more trash and it costs more per ton. But, okay, go ahead. Wait.
Both trucks up and running?
No, we got one running. Well, no, I'll take it back. They both run. We can't use one right now. We had an incident last week at the landfill. Jimmy got there, backed up to dump, got out of the truck and rolled off beside him, took off. Tailgate opened and got too close and tried to take the front end off our truck, so. We gotta get
Well, I'm not sure intent was there, but it was,
But that wasn't intent, but he just about took the front clip off, so we, waiting for, get prices and everything, so we can get a new front clip put on it.
we submitted a claim to the MOPERM, got a report, did everything we're supposed to do on our end, talked to the other company involved, talked to the city of Columbia. I'm pretty confident that the majority of the fault, at least, was in the other driver. So, it's just it's a busy place, and one guy's backing, one guy's moving forward, and they're both trying to get their load dumped and get back to work. So, we'll keep you abreast of the cost and the,
But it has been a bad month for trash trucks. I mean, we have had broken leaf springs, cylinders, lately, so it's just one thing after another lately.
Alright, grant application.
as mentioned a couple times, I am preparing a grant which is due actually Friday, and I prepared a letter of support. There are points awarded for community support, and so in the last version of the packet there should be here a draft letter of support from the mayor, and to make him honest, I was hoping that we could actually get a motion and a motion to endorse the submitting the application for a grant for a split hopper truck, the title of which is Don't Cross the Streams, Split Hopper Recycling Truck. Since they're making a new Ghostbusters movie.
Okay. What does Don't Cross the Stream have to do with a split hopper truck?
You don't want to mix your recycling streams. You want to keep the fiber separate from the containers. I thought.
Don't cross your waste stream.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
Not water. Not like don't go across the stream.
It didn't make a whole lot of sense.
Exactly.
Abstracted.
You can't make it classically one.
Plastic movie streams. Yeah. Don't cross the streams.
And don't ask what happens if you cross the streams without thinking.
It's bad.
It's bad.
You need a motion on that?
Yes, please.
Make a motion, whatever you need.
Well, within reason, submit an application for a split hopper truck or trucks.
Yes.
Yeah.
There you go.
You can take
That's
quotes.
what I meant to say.
Matt did explain this. So maybe go ahead. Second.
Okay, yeah,
Okay.
okay. No, I was just making sure we had a motion on the floor.
Yeah. Motion and second. All in favor, say
Oh, all in favor, say
aye.
aye. Any opposed? No.
And the city of Columbia has 3 split hopper trucks that they would like to sell. They're willing to sell them for $50,000 a piece, according to the letter they sent us. It is possible we would be able to afford $25,000 that we could consider buying 2 and then have a backup. I'm not married to that idea, but it's easier to apply for $100,000 and take 50 or 60 than they'll never give you more than you ask for.
I think that's what we need, a few more trucks around this town running around.
Well, it would
Was it
replace
the
a
city of
truck.
Columbia truck and banged into our trash truck?
No. It's a private.
Well, the fortunate thing about it is they're not all running at the same time.
Yeah. Yeah, keep a good thought.
Even though you want them to be.
Alright, moving on to storm sewer. Anything?
We did some repairs on some storm sewer over on Allen Brook, and that was rusted out. We got that all completed, just need to do some cleanup when it dries up a little bit. Just we're starting to replace some of the older storm sewers in town that are rotted out.
Is that there by the senior citizen?
Yes, yeah, it was completely rotted out in that one section.
Alright, anything?
Did you ever check on that culvert I talked to you about? Columbia and Gruden?
Yes, yeah, we're gonna try to run something through there sometime. We have before, but something else is on, something else has gotten in there, some just leaves or what, but we've messed with it again, but we're gonna try to run through there again.
Oh, I saw you were out vacuuming out, or not necessarily, you
Yeah.
were out vacuuming out the,
Yeah, we're just cleaning out leaves and trying to get some of them cleaned up. Help out some of the drainage, they catch a lot of leaves this time of year, so they get pretty full, some of them do.
Anything under other? No. Any other?
The final other.
Any ASME errors?
Happy New Year, everybody.
It's not that, it's not magic.
Anyway.
Second.
Third.